Guys, good morning. Hey everyone, it's Melissa here. Good morning. So I am just kind of starting my day. I had called in work today because I was just feeling really exhausted, and last night I could not sleep. I went to bed early and I tossed and turned all night. So one of my sons is home. He's sick. So something's going around again. But I usually like to nip something in the bud as soon as I start getting sick. So I'm better. I will probably go out and do some things. I've been on the phone a lot with making phone calls about my divorce. I've talked to Kevin Leandro. I've talked in emails. I've done a lot. So I'm someone who works at things. I work at things really hard. And I think, there's a lot of people out there who are not productive, and it just doesn't make sense, right? Even, there's an old saying, is it Benjamin Franklin? Get done what you can today because you don't want to wait until tomorrow in case you can't do it, basically. Um, so I want to talk about divorce and the truth. Applying truth to your divorce. Whether you have a divorce or not, you really cannot control that. Only God can. Only God can turn someone's heart toward you or away from you. So when I started dating my husband, he chased me. Oh my goodness, I think I have dirt in my belly button. Anyways, he chased me from, let me see. First he picked on me. All the boys picked on me. And then sixth grade, he started chasing me. Seventh, eighth, high school. I went out with him for one day in eighth grade. And then I just broke up with him at the end of the day just because I just wanted to. And his friend Brian was like, "You're so mean, you made him cry." And I'm like, I didn't mean to make him cry. I just didn't want to go out with him. So then high school, he knew I had a boyfriend, and so he backed off, and then we were friends. We were still friends, and then we dated, and we've had a long history together. Very long. So my husband wants to throw over 45 years of our life together. And that is really, a choice, a free will. There's a Bible verse on my phone. They pop up. There is a free will people have, right? But what you want to do when you are going through a divorce or whatever, and only God's in control of that, is to communicate. You want to communicate very thoroughly, because sometimes people will think things about you. They'll judge your heart. They'll think the worst of you. And you need to put the truth in there. That, no, this is actually what I was thinking. This was my intention. This is why I did this, etc., etc. So when you grow up, I had a lot of accusations brought my way, with my mother. She just would say things and there was no conversation. It was just, you're guilty kind of thing, whether you did it or not. And, communication is something a lot of times when you come from a really hardworking family, the communication isn't there. They just don't have time to communicate. And that's one of the reasons why I chose to homeschool, is I chose to live very minimalist and homeschool so I would have the time with my kids to have relationships. So when you're busy all the time, you don't have time for relationships. It's just get this, do that, you did this or you did that, and you just, why did you do that? And the communication is cut short a lot. So you've got to be able to take accusations, and that's something that was difficult for me at one point in my life, just feeling like I'm being accused of so much at one point in my life, or being looked down upon, or condemnation. And it's something you really have to grow stronger in, because we do have an enemy who wants us down and he wants to accuse us. A lot of people don't think that there really is a devil. They don't think there's Satan, and there is. Just look at the evil in the world, right? So there's a lot of evil. Some people will say there is no evil in the world. I don't know what philosophy or what reality they live in, but there is evil. And so what we want to do, as I said, anything anyone calls me, I'm actually worse than that, because we, by nature, are sinners. By our nature, we sin. Nobody's perfect, right? And so we grow up, and there is an innocence to us in our childhood, but as we grow up, if sin is not dealt with and we don't understand how the world works, sin is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and before we know it, we just go down this rabbit hole of turning into not a very good person. We can restrain it to a point. We can be a good person in general. We can have, we can use certain tools like, hey, I went to college, or I graduated, or I'm a pretty good person. I help my neighbors. I'm a pretty good person. I do this and I do that. And there's certain tools or boundaries we have in our lives, right? And there's certain accountability that we have in our life. We, know we have neighbors or family that hold us accountable. But still, it doesn't get to the heart of the issue. It doesn't get to the motive or why we do what we do, or to really see sin. Sometimes, when we really mess up in life, we need that to see, oh my goodness, look at what a wretched person I am apart from God's grace. So what, some people don't understand, we are in a battle. Anyone who thinks that we're just going through life and it's all, a playground, nice and fluffy, and there's really nothing ever to battle against is basically naive, okay? Because not only do we see it in the political world, where we have the battle of beliefs going on, Trump and Biden, we see this. We see this throughout history, right? We see this is what these people believed. We see what other people believed. And it talks about in the Bible how we're in a battle against basically principalities and beliefs. So we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. We don't wrestle against people per se, right? It's not personal. We're not like, oh, I'm going to go to war with you and kill you over every little thing, right? No. But we do battle against good and evil in life. So, some people don't have a biblical worldview. They just don't understand how life works. And if you go through life and you're thinking, oh, this is a ride, or what am I thinking of? Can't think of the word right now. Just a ride through the park, you are going to be surprised when it comes to the time you die. You do have an opportunity to worship God. Just look around. Nobody has to preach to you. You can look at the trees, look at the birds. You can see there is a creator. If there is a creator, we should want to know who this creator is, right? God has put a hole in all of our hearts. There is like a deep, not literally, but there is a deep hole in us. And a lot of people try to fill it. I know I did. I tried to fill it with shopping or boyfriends or food or busyness or whatever, right? And it's a God hole where we need Him. And that is what we are designed for. He makes us. We are His creation. Some people, worship the creature rather than the creator. We're not to worship one another. We're not to, we can enjoy each other's company, but we're not to worship each other. So if you have your eyes on a person in your relationships and they have disappointed you, you are usually not going to last in that relationship. And that's kind of, how I was brought up. Like, oh, this person offended me, done deal, right? Cut them off. You need to realize that there is a God who makes everyone unique, and everyone makes mistakes, and everybody, apart from God's goodness, falls. So we as Christians are the light of the world. That's what God tells us we are, and we are to share truth with people. So I hope this would help someone today. As I'm going through this divorce, you need to apply truth. That's what you need to do. Because like in mine, I'm getting accused of every little thing, and you can't take it personal. You just have to be like, there's an enemy out there. He's trying to bring me down, especially where I'm in the pro-life movement. He's going to try to bring me down. And you just have to stand on Christ. Christ is our anchor. And although the waves do hit you in life, we do have an anchor in life, and our foundation is him. And somebody should be able to see us and be like, oh, there's something different about that person. You know, they have something that I want. There's something about them. And that is the hidden person of Christ in us that people should see. And we should be able to glorify God whether we have a divorce or not. Divorce is really small compared to, the whole big picture of life. It's really nothing. So for me, where my husband's a Christian, as far as I know, he had a true conversion. I mean, I hope it was true. I think it is. Because we used to talk about God and talk about the Bible all the time. I mean, I would come home from church on Sunday. If he didn't go, we'd sit down first, talk about the church sermon, talk about what I learned, have lunch, relax, and then we'd go for a bike ride. That's usually how our Sundays were. And we'd go for a long bike ride, and we'd go up to the ocean, or we'd go, through the woods or something. So he usually had his time to himself in the morning to wake up and have a day off because he worked 6 days a week, and he needed a day of rest to relax. And then when he did go to church with me, he was uplifted and once saved, always saved. So I will see my husband, even if he divorces me, he's not getting rid of me. I will see him up in heaven, and it will be perfect then, without any sin, without any sinful nature that we're born with now, right? There's a lack of harmony sometimes with people, and we just fight. It's hard to get along sometimes. I like to get along with everyone, but there are people out there who will just attack you, or they'll want what you have just so you can't have it. And you have to realize there are people, who are going one way in life. They're going toward God. They're following hard after God. And then there's people who just don't care at all about God, and they're living their life their own way, worshiping themselves, worshiping the world, and they don't want anything to do with God. And when that happens, you gotta kind of just, be like, okay, you choose. But as far as me and my household, we're going to follow God. And so my sons and I mean, we are following God hard, and, we want eternity with all the, rewards. And some people will be like, how foolish that you actually believe in God. And you know what? If anyone would be pitied, it would be those who believe in God if there was no God. I mean, geez, you waste all your life going to church and worshiping something that's not there. That would be like, please pity me, right? But we know there is a God. And if there is a God and we're living for him, there's no better way to live. You cannot lose. So we either choose to live for God or we don't. And then we choose to line our life up with God. We don't say, oh, I'm going to do whatever I want. We say, what does God want? God wants us to glorify him. And that means in our walk with him. That means our marriage. That means with us as parents, as Christian parents. It's going to look a little different than parents who are not Christians. With our family, with our home, with our homes, our homeschool, our education. Education, there is no real education without God. I know that's controversial, but it's true. If someone doesn't know God, they don't have a real education. In our communities, we want to glorify him. So, it's all about a choice and how we choose to live our life and where we're going. We can either choose to, let divorce make us bitter and mad, or we can be like, God bless you. I told Leandro today, I said, God bless you and your family. I'll be praying for you. And I sat down and prayed for them. We are to love our enemies. So no matter what they do to you, put me on a cross, crucify me. I will still worship God. There's nothing that will ever take me away from him. And scripture talks about that too. Neither height nor depth, nothing. Nothing can take us away from the love of Christ. So it doesn't matter what people do to you, in a sense, if you are living for him. Okay, thanks for joining me, guys.